which was Topic Tuesday. And on that particular week, we've got Duke, we've got Adam. Adam's a third-year medical student. Duke is a fourth-year medical student working with us to provide this information. And this particular Tuesday, we were talking about, it's our second part to imaging, CT and echocardiography. So the first week, we talked about actually echocardiograms or ultrasound. And in this week, we talked about a little bit more. And we're going to get into a couple of the diagnostic testing that typically happens in the community over the next couple weeks. So now that we made everyone familiar with echocardiograms or echocardiography, which was a week ago, and CT, now we're going to talk about why is imaging so important for surveillance when it comes to aortic dissections and surveilling aortic aneurysms. So as you know, if you're watching this and you've had a dissection occurs, it's kind of like a tear on one of the inner layers of the aorta, and this actually causes blood to seep in between the layers, and that's a problem, especially because then we're not getting accurate and enough blood flow to vital organs, because as you know, the aorta is the superhighway and feeds blood to everything in your body. And if it's not treated immediately or treated urgently, it could end up being fatal. So on the other hand, if there's an aneurysm present, that's more like a balloon-like bulge in the aorta, or it could potentially increase in size. When that happens, if you're not being monitored, that could also potentially lead to a dissection or a rupture. So definitions are very, very important when it comes to what shows up on a CT or an echocardiography. It's important to understand that there's going to be possibly some deviation in measurements, if you're not having things done in the same machine. All these things are just little nuances. As people, we don't really think about them as being critical, but it can be very critical in the end result. So again, this is all information that might bring up questions in your mind. You don't want to give these questions to Facebook land or these questions to us. We're not medical professionals. Take your questions to your physician. Take them to the radiologist. Ask them when you're having your test done. I guarantee you they'll know the answers. A CT scan is very important, especially if there's going to be a suspicion for an aortic dissection. It's very fast, it's very accurate, and it lets you know exactly how much of your aorta might be involved and whether any of the arteries that come off and branch off of the aorta, if they're also affected, because that could be very problematic. We're going to take a look at this picture here as shown in the left of this figure, both A, which was ascending, and D, which is descending. These are parts of the aorta that happen to be involved in this person. And another view of the aorta from the side, which you can see right here, actually confirms a dissection which involved both the ascending and the descending parts of the aorta. So I love this picture, this CT. I think it's amazing. You can actually see the line of where the dissection is right here and right here. Pretty incredible. And then you really get it on the side view. So if you ask me to explain anything else in this picture, I have no knowledge. It's not my area of expertise. Sharing with you is, and this picture came from St. Vincent's University Hospital. So likewise, in patients with aortic aneurysms, there is a particular bulge or a large size of the aorta, which is seen in the much larger size of A over here. As you can see, this is larger than in the D. For the most part, the diameter of the aorta is more or less than the same throughout in this picture. And routine imaging with CT and echocardiography allows cardiologists and cardiothoracic surgeons to actually monitor a patient's aneurysm and helps them kind of predict when it's appropriate to intervene with surgery. Okay, look at this picture. Well, it's pretty big. Look at the difference there. See, you can see A, the ascending is a lot larger than the D, which was the descending. Okay, so echocardiography is another way in which the doctors can actually monitor the size of an aneurysm. And we often get asked these questions, well, why in my echo was the size a little bit different than the CT? Did something heal? Aneurysms don't shrink. Don't shrink. They might vary a little bit in size depending on tests, depending on if your CT was gated, depending on the timing of when that picture was snapshotted, but they don't shrink. Unless, of course, there was a stent added. Then things, semantics, shrink, but they don't just get smaller. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm literally repeating what doctors say over and over and over again. But let's get back to what we were talking about. In this image here, which is an echocardiogram. Okay. Um, the ascending aorta is actually large or dilated. This is apparent as the size of the segment of the aorta appears to be the same size as the left ventricle of the heart. So, left ventricle of the heart, there's your aorta. And they consider that the ascending aorta, and this is the root of the aorta, they consider this to be dilated. I don't understand why, because again, I'm not a radiologist, I'm not a doctor. Okay. So we're just showing the difference between the techniques and the scans. So in this particular post, it was a deeper dive into imaging. And the whole goal was that it shed some light on why these tests are actually done and the different types of images that it shows a physician. My personal takeaway is that I never go by what the radiology test results say. I've just put this mindset on that I wait until my surgeon gets my scan and takes his special little tool, whatever it's on his computer, and measures it the way he wants to. I don't know if they're doing it diagonal. I don't know if they're doing it up and down, vertically. Doesn't matter to me. I wait until my surgeon gets back in touch with me and says, there's growth or there's no change. Those are the two options, growth or no change. There is no option of shrinkage. There is none. So that's how I look at it for myself. It keeps my sanity in check. I will tell you that this upcoming week is going into MRAs, or magnetic resonance angiograms. MRIs. Let's just go with MRIs. There's a little nuance difference there between MRI and MRA. And they're going to get into all that information as well. So I look forward to sharing it with you next week. But if you have any questions, please let us know. That is a great post there from Duke, our fourth year Harvard medical student. We're so excited to have him, and we look forward to some of his posts as well. So I just happen to enjoy looking at the pictures. I'm personally fascinated. I know some people don't really want to see it, but I like it. I love when community members share your really cool 3D spinnable images of your entire aorta. I'm like mesmerized. But again, this is all great information. And talk to your doctor and ask the question, why are they doing one test over another, and why would there be variation? Find out in your own personal case. That was Topic Tuesday.
And you're out.